just keep coming in.
Okay. I'd like to call the March 1st, 2018 Lakeland Shores City Council meeting to order. If you'd please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kim, would you mind taking the roll call, please?
Councilmember Schroeder. Here. Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Kopeski.
Present.
Mayor Zeller.
Here. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? With one exception, I'd like to pull item C from the consent agenda and have that as a separate item. Is anybody willing to make that motion?
C. I'll make a motion to pull item C out of the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Let's vote on that. All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. The next item is the consent agenda. There will be two items, A and B. Approve the January 4th, 2018 City Council meeting minutes. Item B, approve monthly claims and financial reports. Any questions or concerns with either of those items? I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Let's move on then to what was originally item C on our consent agenda, but we pulled as an independent item. It really is covering two issues. Is Tom here? He's sneak around. Tell him we're ready for him. So there's two items here. The exempt gambling permit, Gillette Children's Hospital Foundation, and really that's associated with the flood run as I understand it. I'd like to point out that on the application that was submitted, it indicates the City of Lakeland, and of course it needs to say City of Lakeland Shores. So any action we take, we just want to make sure that it's with that minor amendment that in fact this is Lakeland Shores. So with that, I would welcome Tom.
Okay. Mayor, council members, and I'm Tom McCarthy, 1544 Ramada, Lake St. Croix Beach, and I'm representing the Flood Run Incorporated, and this is the 53rd annual.
Wow.
And this year, it'll be April 21st, which is a Saturday, and it's somewhere anywhere between 7 and 10:30 a.m., and it leaves, that's when it leaves, and then it comes back to Shiners for that night for a drawing for a motorcycle. And what I'm asking tonight is for a gambling permit. I just found out a few minutes ago that we're only going to do one gambling permit for the spring and one for the fall. We're just doing the motorcycles, so that's good that we're talking.
Sure.
So we need, we might as well do them both, approve them both tonight so I don't have to come back.
Let me just confirm, do you see a challenge with that relative to our packet or our posting? That's a relatively simple amendment, isn't it?
Mayor and council members, I would refer to the actual application. It may specify the date.
Okay, so,
Do we know the fall date?
yep. So one will be April 21st.
Okay.
So a permit for,
Yep, and what's the
then
fall
the other one
date?
is September 15th.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I might interject, these gentlemen, Mr. Denny, how are you, have been here prior to your being on board, and when I was on board as mayor, came several years, and they did 2 times in a row instead of them coming back for each time. So this is not out of the norm for them.
Okay. That's good information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so the other thing, so that's, and they usually waive the fee, I don't know if you, what you remember, so we'll take care of that. And the next thing is, I'm asking if we can open up the North Road, which is that 2nd Street?
Yes.
And for 2, and in and out, and I think, I usually try to open it up Friday afternoon sometime, and then I've always told you guys that I'll close it Saturday night, which I've done. Now, it came up, I think, Brian, I think last time you said, well, we could close it Sunday morning. I do not want to be responsible for anybody going out there at 1 in the morning.
Okay.
So I will close it Saturday night.
Okay.
But I will like to open it up for Friday, so I don't have to do it early Saturday morning, so, on both events. And so I probably need a motion to use North Street, or
Second
Street.
Second Street North.
For Friday and Saturday, April 21st, and for Friday, Saturday, September 14th and 15th, so, Friday, Saturday. So we probably need a motion for that, correct?
We'll include it in a motion.
Okay, and then, just so that you guys know, I always, when we're done on Saturday, I clean up, go up and down the county road, and pick up any pop cans or anything like that, so I promise that. And the next thing, just want everybody to know, in case there's a resident that calls and says, how come there's so many police cars there? We buy or pay for 2 off-duty sheriffs for 4 hours minimum, 2 of them on that Saturday at the flood run expense. So it may look like you guys, the city's paying for them, they're not. There may be another on-duty officer there, but they're usually just kind of helping or looking around. So that's just nice to know for you guys,
Absolutely.
okay?
Okay.
And this is Karen, and Karen
Hi, Karen.
is kind of in charge, she's kind of overseeing it this year. She's kind of taking it over for Brian, and so if there's, I will leave her phone number, and I'll also give you mine. If there's any questions or trouble or anything that you need, you can call one of us. Any questions? Anybody have?
No, and I can say that it's always been a well-run event from my point of view, and frankly, there've been 1 or 2 times I've thought about stopping down there, and it seems like it's cleaned up and over before I get a chance to sneak back there. So you guys do a nice job with it, and it's obviously a great cause.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate everything you do too, so.
No,
Thank you.
I've stopped down there a couple times. It's pretty cool. See all those bikes going and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have a little trouble. We might have to have you help get a car sitting across the street there. Hopefully that car will be moved by then.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we won't muddy
And
the
Mr. Mayor,
water.
I'd like to make a shout out to the Washington County Sheriff's Department, and we have a deputy here tonight. They do a wonderful job down there of providing security services.
They do.
and Patrolling and just kind of the whole thing with as the motorcycles are coming out. You guys do a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's so smooth because
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Thank you.
With that said, are there any issues that you can think of that we should try to address prior to, or is everything pretty smooth?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. I don't think there were any issues last year that I heard of.
I don't remember ever hearing a complaint ever about anything.
Knock on wood.
Okay, well, good.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the permit as well as the event to include 2 dates, April 21st and September 15th. I would also include in that motion that we waive the fee, and that as part of the application, we approve the opening of an ingress-egress directly onto 2nd Street up to 24 hours prior to the event and closed up to 24 hours after the event.
Thank you.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Best
Thank
of
you,
luck.
Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And you don't have to ride a motorcycle. I'm just saying, everybody's welcome.
My scooter's welcome.
How about my snowmobile?
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
I see that we have the deputy here, and I always like to get you in and out as fast as possible. Would you like to come forward if you have anything for us? So, with the council's permission, we'll just jump down to item 6A for a quick second.
Thank you. Good evening. I don't have much to pass. It's been pretty quiet, thankfully.
Right.
So, if you, Mr. Mayor, or council members have any questions for me, I can try to answer those.
I don't. No news is good news.
Yep.
Very happy with your service. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, if you need anything from us, don't hesitate to call. But
Okay.
Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Same for you. All right, we'll jump back up to public comments. Item A, Natalie Warren with the St. Croix River Association. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. My name is Natalie Warren. I think I've met most of you before. I work with the St. Croix River Association, a nonprofit organization working in the St. Croix River watershed to celebrate, protect, and restore the St. Croix River and its tributaries. We've been working on a 3-year grant through the Minnesota legislature, the LCCMR Citizen Committee for Minnesota Resources, to bring greater awareness of the riverway regulations that protect the lower St. Croix River. Through education and outreach and building new resources, we're hoping that more people, landowners, realtors, and local governments are collaborating, communicating early, and talking more about these things. A part of that is I'm here to talk about this resource that's in front of you. It's best practices for zoning applications in the lower St. Croix Riverway. This is a resource that came out of a meeting with city administrators from the many communities about 2 years ago that expressed that it would be helpful to outline the process from when someone is considering making changes to their property all the way to documenting it with the city. So we have done that. You can look through, it has processes and then worksheets for those processes. I should say this is just a preview of the document. The document itself will be more of a workbook, thicker pages. People can really write into it. The idea of this is to manage people's expectations and to communicate early between the stakeholders so that people don't waste time and money on projects before they are aware of the riverway regulations. So you can go through this. If you have any questions, you can let me know, but hopefully it is something that will be of use to you when working with landowners. If you know anyone who's thinking about changing their property and they live within the riverway boundary, please let them know that this resource is available. We'll have copies dropped off at the city, at realty offices, and digital copies through our website. I'd also like to thank you guys for your help over the last 2 years, providing very helpful input to this process, and I hope this can be a useful tool for you.
Can I ask you a couple quick questions?
Yep.
And we talked about this a little bit prior to the meeting starting. I see 2 challenges, 2 relatively new challenges. First of all, I think this is excellent and very helpful, and I know how much work went into it. At least I have a pretty good idea, so thank you. Enjoyed working with you on it, just in terms of me giving a little bit of input here and there. You did really an amazing job.
Thanks.
I think there are 2 challenges moving forward, though. We've had a fair amount of turnover on some area councils and some area staff. Our community as well. We have a new clerk. So I think that's a challenge, just to make sure that as new staff comes on board, they really understand this, because it's an important issue. I think our other challenge is that we have a new area hydrologist that had some pretty big shoes to fill, and I think that she's stretched pretty thin. One of our most recent variances, we didn't receive much input, if any. And frankly, that was concerning. We really do want to do the right thing. So even though we might not agree with the input, we still like to have input. And that's no rub against our area hydrologist. I know she covers a huge geographic area, but those are just 2 challenges, and I don't know what we do about those. I think going forward, do you see some annual type of education or collaboration just to make sure that it stays on the front burner?
It's a great question. So we are redoing our website so that all of the materials we've created are available to people, and we're doing a lot of outreach with realty offices and landowners so that it's not just the responsibility of the local government to get the information out there to begin with. But my position is over in June, so in terms of continued outreach, it really is an online push, and you guys knowing about it, the outreach we're doing now hopefully will continue and people will continue to use the resources. I'm sure the organization will push them throughout the years, and the workshop on the water that happens annually, hopefully we'll have these available as well. So that's our big hope. My role was to create the resources, and I agree that there needs to be continued outreach for them. but there's no clear plan besides online availability at the moment.
Kim, I wonder if maybe on an annual basis we give some thought to reaching out to our neighboring communities, whether it's what we used to have the Alliance meeting, but to include some staff, or I think maybe once a year it makes sense for the 5 communities to get together, elected officials and staff, to just talk about issues, and this could be one of them. Okay, that's
That'd
all
be
I
great.
had.
Cool. Fair concerns. It's a big, complicated subject.
You did a great job.
Hopefully we're hacking away.
Great.
Okay. And
Thank you.
one last thing, we have a free training for all of the communities on the St. Croix Riverway, April 25th at the Stillwater Library. I will be sending more information out and how to register. It's a 2-hour Riverway resources that are available to you, floodplain, erosion control, but the most important of all of those topics. So don't feel like it's going to be boring. It's going to be really exciting, and we'll have some food for you too. So I will send information about that.
Is this information being utilized in Wisconsin as well?
Not yet, but we are talking about trying to find funding to be able to duplicate it on the Wisconsin side.
Okay, great. Randy?
Mr. Mayor, if you might, Natalie, you and I have go back a number of years, and you've done a wonderful job. You said you're done in June? Just out of curiosity, like you're done with the St. Croix River Association in June?
I may continue some part-time work. I've actually switched over to working with them just part-time now and working with other organizations, and I'm writing a book. So I've got other things to do. But I will not be full-time with the St. Croix River Association in the foreseeable future.
Well, good job. You have done a wonderful job.
Thank you so much for your support.
Anything else for Natalie? No, that's it. Great. Thank you.
I'll drop real copies off.
Okay, perfect. We don't necessarily have a destination for doing that other than we have a drop point up the street, which you're more than welcome to use. Just coordinate that with Kim. Okay? Thank you. We'll move on to item 4A. It's a public hearing and consideration of comprehensive plan amendments. So our first order of business would be to open the public hearing. Kim's preference is that we have a motion and a second to open, as well as a motion and a second to close. So I would make a motion that we open the public hearing. Is there a second? We got Tim. All right. Kim, do you mind maybe introducing this, or just giving a little overview of what's before us?
The independent consultant that's been working on your comprehensive plan updates has had a couple of drafts that were sent out. It's my understanding that your updates were not too intensive, not a lot of changes. He has revised, like I said, a couple of times. They have been sent to the council. The procedure for this is to take any public comment. The public hearing was posted in your legal newspaper as well as on the website. The draft was sent for you guys to take a look at. And again, if we can get some public comment, if anyone wants to speak on it, you will have fulfilled the requirement for a public hearing, and then the council can discuss, make suggested revisions, make comments, and those will go to the consultant that drafted the plan.
Kim, procedurally, should we take public comment only during the public hearing, or can we have council comment during the public hearing as well?
It is typical that the public comment would just be for residents that want to speak on that, and the council discussion would occur after.
Okay, that's what I'm accustomed to as well. Okay, having said that, is there anybody here that would like to comment on the comprehensive plan amendments as proposed? Hearing none, seeing none, have we received anything in written comment?
Mayor and council members, we have not.
I'd make a motion that we close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's take a vote on that. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Carries. So the next item is for us to discuss this as a council and to decide if we'd like to take some action to advance the comprehensive plan amendments. Any council comments?
Only that I'm assuming none, and let's not use the word assuming, that if we were ratifying it, then something tells me it's got to go to the adjoining cities and the county and everybody else has got to look at it too?
It gets distributed, my understanding, to area communities, and they can provide their comments. I believe that goes directly to the Met Council, is my understanding, and to
Mayor,
us.
council members, after this is approved by the city council, it is sent out to all neighboring communities, the Met Council, several other organizations, and there's a comment period of, I believe, 6 months.
6 months.
I believe
Okay.
so.
Oh, that's fine.
The final draft is due by the end of the year.
Well, I personally would just like to say these are rather cumbersome documents, and they can take on a life of their own. So I've been very, very appreciative of John Perotti and his willingness to work with Mark Nagel, Kim, your input. It's been relatively painless. So with that said, I would make a motion that we approve the amendments as presented. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any discussion?
Just one quick thing. So within now and 6 months, if it comes back, somebody says, no, it's not really good, then we have an opportunity to look at those comments and address them.
Mayor and council members, you will be, if any comments are submitted, you will have the opportunity to take a look at those.
Excellent. I'll call a vote. All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kim. We'll move on to council and staff reports. Roads Commissioner report. I did receive an email from John. He is out of town, unable to attend this meeting. I also received an email from John Perotti indicating that our weight restrictions go into effect Monday morning. So the signs are available. John left them for us. I basically volunteered Tim, and he seemed to agree. And Tom, I think you're going to help in one way or another. So we'll get those up Sunday night, and they'll be ready to go Monday morning. That's all I'm aware of for his report. Kim?
Mayor and council members, I've got the open building permit reports, and you have got 7 open building permits dating back to April 26th. Several are still in process. I think the 426 one, the install is not complete, but they're getting towards it. And there are just a couple of here. There are a couple more coming in for major homes, but they are not in yet. So the city should be seeing those soon.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that. There are a couple of new applications you think coming forward?
Yes, because the structural, just like for the slab,
Yep.
came in on 2 new homes, but the new homes, that application has not come in.
Oh, okay. So not
The
necessarily a new
foundation.
project, just additional permits for...
Correct, and the remodeling on that variance that was
Got it.
done.
Okay.
They're kind of doing it in stages.
Okay. We're good.
I received notification from Washington County regarding your septic system maintenance agreement. You've had an agreement with them since May of 2000 that did not have an end date. The department has reviewed the agreement and determined it's outdated and no longer necessary. They are going to continue the regulations and provisions for maintenance pumping of septic systems, but the agreement is just not necessary. The agreement did call for providing a 12-month termination notice, so that's what this is. They indicated that it's no longer relevant, and the department will continue their working relationship between the county regarding the septic systems. So I can pass that around if you would like to look at it.
Well, didn't we basically turn that all over to them last year?
Yeah, I was going to say it. It seems
Yeah,
to me
I mean,
we covered this, that we
yeah.
updated it.
Right, but I'm sure there was an agreement in place at the time.
Mayor and council members, that the agreement that was in place from 2000 did not have a sunset.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I think we changed some language last year because there was a gap or some redundancy.
Well, we had codes and they had codes.
Right.
And we said, okay, everything in our codes is referring to Washington County.
That's right.
We just handed it off to them.
You're right.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's,
So
then
now they're saying we don't need a contract effectively.
Right. Because, and I'm sure it's because of that.
Because of those updated codes.
Right.
Everything is in place now, and this one, because it did not have a sunset, they're just officially ending it.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
No action required from us.
No action.
They're ending the contract.
They're saying there's no need for a contract.
There is no need for a contract anymore.
Because we
fall under the-
our ordinance is their ordinance. So their authority
Okay.
is given to them through our
Yeah,
ordinance.
Okay.
we are checking to the power, for lack of a better term.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
Can they, if they wanted to, they could say, no, we're not gonna do it for Lakeland Shores anymore?
They could.
They could, yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's in their interest to have a uniform septic code
Oh, that
across the
makes, oh,
county.
for sure, yeah.
Which I think there is, because they all have to be pressurized.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
and new
okay,
ones, yeah.
all right.
Great.
And then I just have one more update. In working with the treasurer, she is moving over to the new program, CTAS, from QuickBooks. There's no payroll fee for that. There's no updates. The updates are free. It's the recommended accounting program from the state auditor. There is an issue with the bank, whom the city banks with, and the direct deposit. A NatchDis file is required to do direct deposits. Because she's been kind of changing the QuickBooks into the CTAS, she has not had time to try and develop that file.
Okay.
So direct deposit at this point isn't available through the CTAS. She will in the future be trying to develop that file. It's kind of a one-time thing. And then the direct deposit would continue. She will be here at the next meeting for an update, but I just wanted to give you that heads up. It might be a check next time as opposed to your direct deposit, until that little kink is worked out.
Okay, for payroll. All right, great.
As long as we get paid.
And then we did end up under budget last year, and I believe that number was approximately $18,000 for what that's worth.
That's great.
Yep. Great. Thanks, Kim. Let's do council reports. Tim?
I don't really have too much, just that, well, like you said, the weight restrictions are going on. And then I did contact some people at the county about County Road 18 in front of 2nd Street North there, that seeing if they can do a cut and patch or something when it frost gets out and take care of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you. Tom?
Okay, a couple things for sure, and not in addition to the fire business. I went to the Washington County Emergency Management meeting a couple months ago. They are implementing a software package, which we are all invited to use with our emergency plans on it. It is referred to, the package is called BOLD, B-O-L-D, just, and I'll be throwing that around now. It's, currently we have a grant for that software package. The education at our level would be covered in that grant, and the time for, and I believe this is the way it is, but it's the training and inputting into the system. The grant would cover that. Now, this grant is from FEMA, and it is a year-to-year grant. So the software, and I think I've got it written down here, is it's going to cost about $10,000, and all that is in the tech support, the training, and the input is included in that. The only thing I have to say is we, the city, would do the input we would do the data entry for our own plan. I got into the conversation about the difference between emergency operations and contingency operations was a long discussion, and this Kelly, who was working with us, finally said, an emergency operation is when your building burns down and you've got to relocate and you've got no equipment and you've got, you're missing this and missing it. Contingency is your building has mold and it has to be evacuated. That's the kind of what the difference is between the two. And I went, okay, I understand what you're talking about now. You move the equipment, you recover some resources, but those are two different plans. Okay. The cities who, and Brian, you and I had an email exchange on this, who have agreed to participate, and we have a non-binding agreement right now that we're going to be involved. They're going to send out, they initially called it a joint powers, now they're calling it a cooperative agreement, which all the cities are going to sign. And we have to agree, and we have to have someone to train to do the input. That's somewhere along the line. Your plan should include your personnel, your locations, your backup, your communications, your function, and who does what in a backup, a timeline. And then the whole thing is put into the system, and not only does the system here have it, but the software company has a backup site with that copy of that there also, which, me being an old IT guy, that was my first question is, where's the backup? But, so the plan was approved yesterday at the county level. The board agreed to use this software package yesterday, Tuesday. It was on Tuesday. I'm sorry. And so I'm sure Kelly will be getting a hold of us. I'm not sure. I kind of covered this meeting to see what's going on. I'm not exactly sure who's going to do what, but I'm the contact currently, and I may be talking to Kim and trying to figure out.
And you've been looped in on this, haven't you? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that was by somebody else. It wasn't me other than.
I forwarded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that one. The building code, fire code 2015 thing, Rob's working on that. He's gonna put it together so we can all the communities can look at it. I was talking to Tim on this, and I'm a little overbooked right now, and so he's going to deal with Rob on taking care of the codes and what needs to be done and where on. But right now, he's trying to put the Board of the appeals thing in place, where we go in and say this has to be done. And okay, so he's working on that right now. Recycling. As you guys can see, I've been busy. The joint powers is all signed. I think the contract's signed too, if I'm not mistaken. We have in the packet, there's a little thing that currently has, naturally I'm not going to be able to find it quick here, but it's the one that on the back side it's got a, oh, here it is. It was an email, and it's got a page on the back, which is basically the educational page, which is going to be attached to the new bucket. The new bin. In addition to that, they're going to have a strap of tape sealing the bucket that says on it, don't use until after April 1st. And just so they know when we go from Maroney to Highland. And I thought it was a great idea, just to have that.
Don't open till after
Yeah,
Christmas?
do not use until after April 1st. And I thought it was a really good idea.
What happens to the old container?
That's one of our issues, our challenges that we've got right now is that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that we've got to get the old ones, I believe are Maroney property, and we're going to have to get to them in some way, shape, or form, because we're kind of we're a hanger-on on the Lakeland contract, basically, is what we've got currently, and so I don't know if we're going to have to call Lakeland or we're going to deal with Maroney directly. I have not had a conversation about that.
I think we should just call Maroney directly. From
Yeah.
what I understand, he's easy to work with,
Yeah.
and it just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Do they want them back?
They are theirs. I mean, the cost of them was in the contract, but
I was
their
gonna
names
say,
all over.
I'm not 100% sure they're theirs, but it
I
makes
think-
sense that they would pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's recycle the recycling bins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I mean, I've had one replaced because the clip, the pipe in the front, that they lock up on, it pulled itself free, and I called them, and they brought out another one. And it wasn't a new one, but I don't care. Okay, let's see. Okay, the educational information, the tape, the contract to recycle, the old bin, the new bin. The new bins, are going to be, they're hauling them all down to St. Mary's Point to the arena. And they're going to put them together down there and distribute them from that location to all the addresses in the three cities. So they made an agreement with Mike down at the arena, and he said, yeah, you go ahead, we're closed. They're closed at that time. So he said, you can use the parking lot, and that's fine. And so everything seems to be going into place. Like I said, the only thing we've
Who's
got
going to
is...
administer it? Did we get that resolved? There was some talk that
Right,
Judy,
and
Judy
I-
might do that through St. Mary's Point.
Right, it was, I think you're right. I think it was St. Mary's Point is going to administer the contract, and we will have, and Judy, I believe, handles all three cities.
Just two.
Just two. And so she's gonna bill
Okay.
the other two cities.
So you think she is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So. But April 1st is, a month from today is when we
Changeover
go.
date.
Yeah, turnover day. And I'll make some calls on this, picking up the bins thing. It's one of those where it's not gonna be, the only thing I will say is that we probably should get something out to the city to
Well, I
let
was
them
going
know.
to say, is Highland going to send out something to the cities, letting them know we're doing that over, and then it's going to be
No.
weekly? Or no?
No, I mean, if you look at this thing that's printed up, you see in the bottom right corner, it says Hoboken
Yeah.
Recycling. Well, all three cities, thanks to Kim, we got ours. All three of those logos for the three city are gonna be in that bottom right corner. And they're gonna update this, and like I said, it's gonna go on the bucket, and that's kind of where it's gonna be. Now,
Tom, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We need to figure out the newsletter, so this would be a great thing to have in the newsletter. So maybe you and I could get together in the next week or so and see if we can't identify the items we want in there and get that produced and distributed prior to April 1, if at all possible.
Mayor and council members, I will note that perhaps I did jump the gun, but this is already on your website.
Great.
And a notice that the new bins would be delivered the last 2 weeks in March.
Okay.
yep,
And that the new recycling, every week recycling started at that time. That is posted on your website, so.
I don't even look at our website on a regular basis, so I think a good old-fashioned hard copy is the way to do it.
And I will just ask Councilmember Wilson, is the new company, are they not sending out flyers to let every resident know?
they are attaching the flyer to the bin for sure, as of right now.
As it's
And I
dropped
think
off.
they kind of put this, how shall I say this? There will be an updated one of these with
Yeah.
our logos on it and that kind of thing. And I think I think the ball was thrown at us, as the three communities, to get that out to so.
Well, if they have a bin dropped off and it's sitting on their driveway with a letter on it, that's probably going to...
We're still going to have a lot of people say what's going on.
Yeah.
I know, that's true.
Yeah.
So when are they starting to drop off the new bins?
Last 2 weeks. of
Oh, they've
March.
already started. Oh, the
Last 2 weeks of March.
Okay.
This
All right.
month.
Kim, let's you and I figure something out.
And don't hesitate to yell at me if you need something, because I'll talk to Cindy too, because
I can cover the entire city in about 45 minutes. So, I mean, if we need to, I can manually door knock and let people know what's going on.
Well, and we can get a mailing out too, if that's what we need to do. But Councilmember Wilson, I will also ask, was there a call center set up for this?
the call center is Highland, and that is going to be on the sheet.
Okay.
Now, we are dealing directly to the vendor, which is a little different than we did before, and I think it's actually a better idea than having this extra step in the middle. So,
Would it be appropriate to put that on the city's website? Any questions?
yeah, I don't
All
think that would
Highland?
be a problem at all, to put it on, and it's specifically related to recycling, though. I mean, that's, yeah, because we're gonna get people that think garbage and recycling are the same thing, and
Good point. Okay. Anything else, Tom?
I got fire department, but we can roll through that.
Okay.
I guess that's next anyway, or Randy.
Randy? Anything to report?
Is it possible to ask a few more questions of Tom's report?
Certainly.
Thank you.
I can say no at any time.
You can say no. Well, I've heard you say that. So, just for my own curiosity, this all deals with recycling. that I'll come
Correct.
from, okay? Will the containers be the same size?
Roughly speaking, yes.
Okay,
I think the ones we have are 64, the new ones are 63, but yeah, I mean,
Whatever.
yeah.
the recycling ones have a what, green top on
Right.
them now?
Yeah.
And they're brown on the bottom,
The new ones will be maroon and green, as I recall.
still but green on the top. so-
Green on the top.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so those are the questions, and then I have 3 suggestions. What about the last recycling time for Maroni's when they come and recycle the bin, or they they pick up the last recycling? They just take the bin.
They don't have anywhere to haul.
They don't have anywhere to haul it.
They gotta dump.
They gotta come with a trailer and pick them up.
Have a bigger trailer.
No, they don't.
They dump the bin into a large truck.
They have a
Oh, I
garbage truck
understand.
pick
Right,
up.
No,
the-
I've been there, done that.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
okay, so,
Yeah, okay. So
They
they
don't-
come up there and
yeah,
they
okay,
put the
so what's your,
pull a
okay,
trailer
what's your question?
Pull a trailer behind their truck and then throw that.
You're never gonna see that happen.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
All right. We were talking about marketing and public and communications. Is it possible? And I think it falls under the opportunity. We have an agreement with the fire department. How about if we put it on that electronic sign down there? Because that's
okay, I don't see anything wrong with that. The one thing I will say is that how many of our residents see that sign? That's the first question.
is it more than one
What, more than one?
that see the sign?
Probably not. I mean,
Well, I drive down there, so that's
yeah,
one.
yeah, well, there's one. I
right, fine.
understand what you're saying. I
Yeah,
guess the
I mean,
thing is
I'm
that,
just looking for opportunities to
Yeah.
create create public awareness. And then, so that would be an interesting one. And then, if we wanted to, we could, use the code red system and make a phone call through the sheriff's department.
No, I don't want to
I
do
think
that.
that would
That's
be,
not-
I think that would be a gross misuse of code red.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
No.
I wouldn't be in favor of that.
No.
Oh, okay, but I'm just saying, it's information, and I've talked with the folks at the sheriff's department, and it's not just emergency, but but I'm just saying that's possible. But if you folks are against it, I understand that, but it would not be impractical. That's all I have.
Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you. How about your report?
No special report.
Okay.
Fire, that's all.
No,
I
no,
got.
I'm not.
Oh, you got other
You don't
things.
get to skip me. So I received an email from Sarah Meyer, just making me aware, and I'd like to make everyone else aware, that there's discussion taking place regarding the Valley Branch Library. There will be 2 community engagement meetings with the architectural firm that the county has contracted with. The first is March 12th, the second is April 10th at the Afton Lakeland Elementary School, 6:30 to 8 p.m. They're looking for input from the community on how they would like to see Valley Branch Library go forward. So that's an opportunity for people if they have some strong feelings or some ideas that they'd like to share. That's an opportunity to share that. I will say that I've spoken with Commissioner Kriesel about the library, and he's very committed to it and very supportive of it, and actually has been putting a little bit of friendly pressure on what can we do to make it better than it is, and what can we do to make sure that it's remains in our community. So appreciate his support. We had a WMO meeting. Everything's clicking right along there. We're applying for an awful lot of grants again. We've got a couple of pretty intensive administrative items this year, but with that said, we finished under budget and are not proposing a budget increase. So that's all I have. Move on to the fire department report.
Okay, budget process has started. We're only off by 6.5%, but that's the way it always starts. we have gone this year to paying hourly for all services. We've kind of ticked it up. We first did fire, and then we did training, and now this year we've started paying for EMS runs hourly rather than just a $15 turnout fee. We're paying hourly now. And so we're kind of, the fortunate thing about EMS is that when we have more runs than we budgeted for, we collect more revenue. Because, let's say we had 200 runs, we'd collect $100,000. I'm just picking numbers out of here. If we have 300 runs, we get $150,000 basically. So we're that is not that hourly rate isn't going to hurt us, but it's very hard to budget for right now because we don't have any hard facts. Some of the big things that are transpiring this year is the simple fact that the weather has been bad, and the EMS has been extremely busy with 94, which is one of our good paying jobs, for lack of a better way. And the flu has kept the EMS guys very busy. So we've had almost 100 runs in the first 2 months, which is quite amazing. That's unusual. If we keep that up, we're going to be well above what we normally. Last year we had 458, I think, total runs, and so we're doing. We did I think it was 89 in the first 2 months. So I'll leave that stuff alone. Right, it's equipment replacement stuff. We're trying to figure out if our schedule is accurate, but we haven't really worked it out all the way yet. So we might move some of our equipment replacement back as a budget relief, but Tom's looking at that right now, and it's going to take him a while to figure it out. So we've done it before. It's not that uncommon for us to move a purchase of an ambulance back, and now we're talking about refitting an ambulance rather than buying a new one. So, number of things that happen there, but as I've said before, the biggest problem with fire service and AMS service is that the requirements for a piece of equipment change almost as much as inflation does. So if we're looking at a 3% reinflation rate, we're probably looking at a 5%. We have to have better, newer, bigger pumps, whatever it happens to be as we go. So. And it all comes back to us because if we qualify that equipment at a high level, it saves on our homeowners insurance. So that's it.
Great. Is there a motion to adjourn? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Here you go, Brian.